What is pippin' and or poppin'? Kiddos, once again, I'm coming back at you again for the second time. And I'm just going to say this is going to be an even more lightly edited, off-the-cuff level of video compared to even last time. Because I truly want to get my first impressions of this data slate going in. And before I get into that, I do want to talk about a couple things. First of all, that first video that I uploaded, just kind of complaining about my issues with the Ad Mech codex, received a truly insane level of feedback. Last I saw was about 200 views, which was 20 times more than I expected to get. I expected to get 5 or 10 friends to watch it and then maybe 1 or 2 other people. So the fact that it was so many is truly insane, and I can't thank you guys enough. But with that being said, I also do want to make a quick statement that I'm using this channel as a creative outlet more than anything now that I've graduated college and found myself with a lot more free time compared to working full-time and being in college. So it's not just going to be 40K stuff. I will talk about it as it's relevant to my interest and when I want to, which will probably mostly be data slates or codex releases for books that I play or care about. And along with that, the second video I'm going to have in the works third I suppose, after this is going to be one based around Dark Souls 2 and my very personal connection with it. And then final thing on the docket before we get into the real meat and potatoes of this one is I apologize if you hear any heavy breathing or meowing or thumps in the background. I have 2 bulldogs and a cat who are all being very needy and wanting for quite a bit of affection today. So if you hear that, that's what it is. I apologize. I'm going to go as raw with this as I can and only really cut out pauses and things. So that being stated, before I go any farther into it, I do want to say that I'm probably not going to talk much about points. Points are such a theoretical thing for me as someone on the more casual side of the play, that I can vaguely tell if something feels incredibly overcosted, but that's usually after I play with it. And even then, it's such a scattergun approach for me on if I can tell if something's overcosted or not, that I will look at them, and if I feel I have anything interesting to say, I will bring that up. Finally, before we jump into this, I did watch the Meta Watch video, the hour-long one. So I do know about the core rule changes, and they mentioned the Ad Mech stuff, so I know a little bit about what's in there, but nothing specific. So it's going to be about as blind as I reasonably could. The reason I watched the Meta Watch thing was in hopes of getting some context for the updates, since they have been doing a good job with some of the things, giving explanations and justifications for certain changes and why certain things aren't happening and so on and so forth. Truly my highest expectations that I have no faith will get fulfilled. Everybody gets Doctrinas, improved profiles, at the very least on our elite units like Sicarians would be very great. And then I do know that there are changed weapon stat lines. They mentioned that was fairly extensive in there. And then I also know that we got points hikes, which is great when we are the most expensive army in the game. I'm super jazzed about our points going up, actually. So I guess now it's time to get into the actual document itself. Okay, so I'm re-recording the first page since I was really stumbling over my words a lot. I just want to reiterate first that I am coming at this from the perspective of someone who's a very casual player. I play primarily with 1 or 2 friends, and on top of that, a couple times every month or so at my local LGSs. I don't go to tournaments. I don't do that sort of thing. So a lot of the more fine-tuned balance, I'm not so aware of. And then along with this, I'm going to reiterate as well that I am going to primarily be looking at the core rule changes and the Ad Mech changes, as those are the things that I feel are most pertinent. I think as a whole, these are very good changes for the stratagems. I think that reducing the CP cost by 1 is a better balancing decision than setting CP cost to 0, since it helps with allowing a little more fine-tuning in the power of the ability. Changing Lord of Deceit to be a 12-inch aura, I think probably ends up making it a little weaker, since my assumption, not knowing it off the top of my head before, is that it was a within line of sight and 18 inches ability. So as a whole, it's almost certainly weaker, but I think there could be moments where it's far higher impact than, say, if it is that select one out in 18. Setting it where stratagems can only be used once per phase unless specifically named is also solid. I think stratagem spamming as a whole is a problem that I have with 40k since I played it, and to see that getting reduced in the core rules is very nice. The change of the can't target outside of 12 inches rule being changed to 18 inches is also very nice, and really helps to shadow improve, I guess, armies that rely on shooting a lot more, like Tau, for example, who can be crippled if the right unit has this spammed on it. So I'm happy to see that changed. And then having respawn units be set to always be once per battle is another change I'm just a big fan of, as I think when it's not, it can often end up feeling a lot more one-sided than it is, even if generally those respawn abilities are only used on fodder units like Termagants. I'm still happy to see that as a change, because I think it's generally a good one. I think they will support a healthier atmosphere around the game. So, now moving down to look if there's any other things. Faction rules. Adeptus Mechanicus. Here we go. What I'm here for, baby. This will decide if I want to kill myself or come today. So, starting off with Doctrina Imperatives. Ranged weapons keep heavy. Improve the ballistic skill of ranged weapons equipped by models in this unit by 1. Okay, that's pretty nice. Each time a melee attack targets this unit, if this unit has the battle line keyword, or if it's within 6 inches of a friendly Adeptus Mechanicus battle line, subtract 1 from the hit roll. That's really solid. Thank you so much, James Workshop, for getting rid of the very strange ruling with... Thank you very much for getting rid of the strange ruling with deployment zones. I think that doing that makes this a lot more impactful. And it gives I think it solidifies the idea to a certain degree of choosing this on turn 3 or 4. But who knows? Going into Conquer Imperative, that we maintain the Assault, and we improve weapon skill by 1, as well as each time a model in this unit makes an attack, if that unit has the battle line keyword or is within 6 inches of 1 or more friendly battle line units, improve the armor penetration characteristics of that attack by 1. Okay, I like this a lot. Improving the ballistics and weapons skill, as well as increasing AP by 1 on Conquer and reducing hit rolls against you in melee for Protector is very nice. I think it balances things out a hell of a lot more than they were before. There is an actual reason to choose Protector, and there is, on top of that, a really solid, there are choices now that you can make on turn 1. I think you'll still probably choose Conqueror turn 1, but I think that after that you start to hit more of alright, what is useful in this particular moment I think it adds more skill in what you're choosing in the round-to-round gameplay, which I very much enjoy. Add faction Doctrina Imperatives to Belisarius Call, Electro Priest, Tech Priest, Dominus, Engine Seer, Manipulus, and Archaeologist. That's really solid right there. Thank you for giving Doctrinas to everything but the Castellans at this point, I believe. Which I would like to see them on Castellans, but I'm fine with them not being there because they are really the closest thing that we have as a army to a mercenary unit. So this, very happy to see. I think it's kind of insane it wasn't there from the start, But either way, I am so happy to see it. Call went up to 8 inches of movement from 6, I think, which is good. And then, let's see, change. Aura. While a friendly Mechanicus unit is within 6 of this model, each time you make a battle shock or leadership test for that unit, add 1 to it. Changing that to an aura is nice, but I still don't think you're going to take Call. I'm pulling up his data sheet in the book for the book that I have in front of me, and I'll probably keep that open. Yeah, so Call went up to an 8-inch movement from what he had before, which is very nice. Okay. Oh, I missed that part at the beginning. This model has the battle line keyword and the following ability. I think that makes Call a very interesting buff piece, but I'm still not sure if you'll take him just on the basis of the buffs he provides are a reroll of 1 to hit within 6 inches and benefit of cover within 6 inches, as well as this add 1 to leadership test within 6 inches. I'm still not sure if you're going to take Call, just because he's a very big unit, but he still doesn't feel like he'll be that impactful. Even if the battle line buff on this does make him a lot more interesting and potentially really strong to take, I would want to play around with him a little bit before I make any calls on he's way better or way worse now. So Iron Striders got a buff as well in their number of attacks, going from 2 attacks to 4 on the auto cannon, and from 1 attack to 2 on the las cannons. I think increasing our output of damage is just a generally good idea with our weaker ballistic skill. The number of attacks we were outputting just wasn't fantastic. So getting a higher volume of attacks on some of our more impactful pieces is a good idea, I think. Ferromite Cannon to a d6 plus 1 makes more consistent damage on one of our big anti-tank weapons, which I think is another good choice. Infiltrators having their power weapons changed to 3 attacks from, I think it's 2. Yes, getting an extra attack on Sicarians from 2 to 3 on both their taser goads and their power weapons is pretty good, I think. I would have liked to see an increase to their weapon skill. Like I said before, you know what? No, I think that this is just a very solid change that I like a lot. Because I think I'm still trying to process this as they have a 4-up weapon skill and not they can have a 3-up weapon skill when Conqueror is active. And I think that's where my brain is sort of having the disconnect. So, no, this is a good change. I think giving us the options to selectively increase our weapons and ballistic skill along with increasing our general output is really solid. And then moving on to Rust Stalkers, making their transonic blades and their cord claw 5 attacks with 5 strength really increases their potency in a good way, and it lets us hit up far harder than we could before. Say against Space Marines and Orcs, we get a lot more consistency now, which is going to be fantastic. And then with the cord claw, also making that the razor in cord claw, making it 4 attacks at strength 5 is also going to be a strong change. I think. Yeah, I'm noticing a lot of these changing the attack and pushing them up has been, along with their strength, is just a generally good thing that I think we needed a lot of. So, Onager Dune Crawler ranged weapons, they saw a lot of changes. So the Daedalus missile launcher. So before the Daedalus was... Okay, so it just wasn't marked here. It gained an extra attack, which again helps with the consistency, and I'm all here for. The Eradication Beamer going up from D6 to 2D3 is another good instance of upping our consistency, which I very much enjoy. Changing Neutron Laser, giving us an extra attack, and then giving us an extra +1 to damage to make that a +2. And then making the Onager Phosphor Blasters 12 attacks instead of 4. That's a pretty huge change that gives Onagers a massive increase in output. That's really great. Along with the aura of 6 inches, provide battle line units a 4-up invuln save against ranged weapons. That makes Onagers really scary, I think. And I'm, depending on their points cost, could be like auto-include territory. And then is there anything else on here? no, that's going to be it for the Ad Mech. So overall, I think this is a fantastic change, and I am exceptionally happy over the Doctrina rules changes to being just having a choice, really, as well as just as a whole. I think they're fantastic. Call is far better now, I think. I'm still not sure if we'll end up taking him, just because the buffs he provides aren't amazing in the context of the whole army, or at least weren't. But again, that'll depend on points cost and sort of like where he ends up. Maybe he'll end up being fantastic now, and I have no clue. And then giving us a bunch of extra attacks and strength on a lot of our more elite and vehicle-based units are very nice. There are some things I think I would have liked to see a little more touched on. Like, I think I would have liked to see... No. Again, I'm thinking in, like, I would have liked to see more profile changes, but I'm trying to keep in mind the Protector and Conqueror imperatives are completely different now and really good and really affect how potent our army is. So no, I think overall this is really good changes, and I'm excited to see where Ad Mech ends up. So that's my impressions on the data slate. I think it's surprisingly really solid, and I'm very happy to see it, and it really helps with our consistency and making our army rule impactful in a way that frankly I wasn't expecting them to do. So seeing it executed well is so relieving in a sense that it feels like we finally have an army now. I like that the imperatives feel a lot more flavorful compared to where they were before, and I hope that this means that we'll have an upward trend of that for every army this edition, really. I think a lot of the negativity that I was experiencing in the initial impression was from still seeing what's on the datasheet there and not fully processing the changes to imperatives making weapon skill and ballistic skills better. And now that I've sort of had time to fully lock that into my brain, I'm very excited for that. Anyways, thank you again for the amazing response to last video, and hopefully I don't earn anyone's ire with this one. So thank you again, have a good one.